If you thought we weren't living in a post-cyberpunk dystopia where you will own nothing, eat the bugs, live in a pod, and be happy, well, this is your wake-up call. We are literally in the precipice of the beginning of the worst possible timeline in terms of actual ownership for video games. And every single day, it in fact gets absolutely, positively 100% worse, with game companies selling you a full $80 game or $70 game with nothing on the disc except for it being a key to download the actual product. Or even then, Nintendo going around and forcing other companies and publishers into digital distribution more so than actually physical ones. No, I'm not kidding. And worst of all, even your consoles aren't safe because those specific devices are now being tied up by EULAs as well. Oh, we got a lot to go over, so let's get started because Nintendo thinks they can go ahead and brick your console if you're not playing nice. According to PCMag.com, it turns out Nintendo can and will brick your Switch console if you decide to pirate games. It turns out that there was a change in the user license agreement for the Nintendo account service, and it was first spotted by GameFile. Here's what was said. In the first update to Nintendo's user agreement since 2021, the previous version merely told customers that they were not allowed to adapt, reverse engineer, or modify a Nintendo user account. In contrast, the new user agreement does not mince words. It states you acknowledge that if you fail to comply with the foregoing restrictions, Nintendo may render the Nintendo account services and/or the applicable Nintendo device permanently unusable in whole or in part. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We are now at the precipice of, oh, you bought the product, you gave us your real money, we gave you a real product. Well, you don't actually own it. You're not using it the way we, the corporation, want you to use it, even though you totally purchased it legally and directly. Well, we're going to brick it instead. Oh, you want to figure out how this thing operates and what we've done to go ahead and figure this thing out? No. Bricked. You want to go ahead and just try to emulate things on there or make an emulator? No. Bricked. You want to go ahead and just do anything you possibly can to this console? No. Bricked. Go ahead. Buy another one because every time you go online, we're going to monitor what you're doing, decide what's going to be right for you and what's not right for you, and then make a call on that end specifically. Again, you don't own these products anymore, and we're going to talk more about that as well. But let's see what Nintendo, in fact, decides is going to be enough for them to go ahead and turn on the brick of your console. The new agreement also expands on Nintendo's definition of prohibited activities. Efforts to bypass, modify, decrypt, defeat, tamper with, or otherwise circumvent any of the functions or protections of the Nintendo account services violate the user agreement. You know what's really funny about that entire line and sentence directly is the fact that the Nintendo Switch 1 getting bypassed, tampered with, and defeated of all the security is the reason why the Switch 2 even has backwards compatibility. No, I'm not kidding. You see, the thing is, Nintendo suing Yuzu and Ryujinx and then owning all the source code for Yuzu is the exact reason why the Switch 2 has backwards compatibility with Switch 1 games. You thought they were going to give that to you directly? You thought that they did that on their own, that they sat in the back corner and Miyamoto worked on their typing up all the code to get it done? No! They sued Yuzu, they took that code, and they use it directly for the Switch 2. Then they have the audacity, the gumption, the testicular fortitude to tell you you can't do it. Hello? Does anybody not see the irony and the insanity of all of this? The entire reason why they have backwards compatibility is because people decided to defeat the security protections inside of the first Switch. You wouldn't have that if that wasn't the case, Nintendo. Why do you even care in the first place? We know everybody's going to buy that product. They're already selling tens of millions of copies. You're expecting 15 million sold in the first, month or whatever. So why do you give a shit? All you're trying to do is simply control a product from people. And that's literally what this is. They've become the Disney of everything directly. And the more we see it, the worse it actually gets. I don't know how Nintendo consistently does this to themselves all the time. One great product, one failure of a product. And one great product and one failure of a product back to back. The Nintendo curse is actually real. And the Switch 2 could have been an insane get for so many other users if they simply did not go around and have the hubris that they have right now. And pride always comes before the fall, because it turns out Nintendo is also the exact reason why so many third-party publishers are moving away from actual physical cartridges and moving to game key cards instead. You know, the thing you have to actually buy as a physical product, then put into your Switch 2 and then download the game, negating the reason to having a physical product in the first place? Thanks, Nintendo! Because it turns out that a data breach for Arc System Works confirms that there is in fact only one Switch 2 game card size. A data breach of Japanese publisher Arc System Works servers has confirmed several key bits of information about the Nintendo Switch 2. The first in the data breach has confirmed that there is indeed only one game card size for the Nintendo Switch 2, which is 64 gigabytes. This explains why many third-party publishers are opting to go with game key cards instead. As you continually look in the article by Nintendo Soup, you can clearly see that inside of the actual data breach, here are specific lines of code that were shown. DL saying digital only, 64 gigabytes saying for the cartridge size, and Potion for the game key card. Now, this is incredibly important because the fact that the word Potion is there basically proves that this is legit, because the word Potion actually aligns for the POT, for platform code for game key cards, basically showcasing here are your three options, publishers. You can either go ahead and be digital, pay for the 64 gigabyte card, or do the game key card as well. And honestly, I think this is what is actually happening with so many publishers and developers on the Switch 2, and why so many other games are opting for just the game key card directly. Nintendo is literally going around and forcing third-party publishers and developers on their system into the game key card format unless they are choosing to spend the money up front to have the full 64 gigabyte card being published directly, guaranteeing you having Nintendo charge that publisher developer even more money up front for that game on that platform. And that's really the worst case of all, because so many smaller games, in fact, do not require such a massive amount of space or data to be on there. So Nintendo literally forcing the hand of other publishers and developers to move to a digital platform is showcasing simply this. Nintendo thinks that you're going to go ahead and just buy the game digitally. It's going to cost them probably pennies on the dollar to print a piece of plastic to take you to the eShop to download that actual game. And that's going to be a really horrible shit have in the first place. One of the best reasons to buy a Switch 1 is because you knew that the majority of the time those games were on those key cards and you can play those games offline and actually own that product. But now that's not the case. You're better off just downloading the game through the store and wishing and hoping and praying that one day your Switch 2 doesn't kick the bucket and you lose everything directly, or your account gets hacked and you lose it all as well. Again, pissing money away down the toilet and owning nothing in the process. You will eat the bugs, you will live in a pod, you will own nothing, and you will be happy. But it turns out things in fact get worse, because other companies like Limited Run Games that are notoriously known for going around and making physical copies of digital-only titles are having issues as well. You see, it turns out that according to Cheap Ass Gamer and some other places, that the Switch 2 games released by Limited Run Games with a number will be on the cartridge. Non-numbered titles may be game key cartridges as well. This is going to be an area of have and have-nots. What is the point of buying a game through Limited Run, which is purposely designed to go ahead and give you a physical game, when you're only getting the game key card as well? You can clearly see this is going to be abused directly, where game key cards or game cards by Limited Run that are numbered will then be scalped, put on eBay, sold for 2 or 3x more than what they're actually worth, and then of course push everybody out as well, where proper people who want to go ahead and just own the game physically will not be able to do so and will be stuck with game key cards as well. And the game key card drama does not end, because it turns out Microsoft and Xbox are doing the exact same thing, just in a different format directly. Because we find out the other day over the weekend that Doom the Dark Ages PS5 physical release reportedly has just 85 megabytes of data on the disc, and the Xbox isn't much bigger. So now not only do we have Nintendo forcing publishers and developers into, in fact, a game keycard digital distribution system, we now have Microsoft and Xbox literally going around printing out the actual cases, printing out the actual disc of the game specifically, and then only putting enough data as the actual key for you to go off and download the product in the first place. And they have the gall, the audacity, and the testicular fortitude to turn around and say, hey, games are $70, and this holiday, the games are going to be $80. Oh, by the way, that Game Pass price hike, that'll be coming your way soon. I don't understand this company or these companies at all whatsoever. Every single time that there is a new movement to go ahead and save money for the company, is a savings passed on to the customer? No, only one time has it ever happened, and that is during the PS1, PS2 era, where it cost pennies on the dollar to in fact print the disc, where game prices were then decreased over time, especially in the early 2000s, where we weren't spending $80, $90 in that era to go ahead and buy those video games. We got the game prices to go down to $50 and even less sometimes because CDs were cheaper to print, passing on the savings to the customer. We weren't dealing with actual game cartridges that had the actual chipboards produced, shipped, and then put out there on shelves. We now had actual just easy to use simple discs, so things got better. But instead, over time, what happened is now we're dealing with bloated marketing budgets, bloated development budgets, and the actual customer is getting screwed over consistently by not owning anything, even though they're going around and buying the game physically directly. Every single person talks about like, I want to support the devs. Oh, take my money, company. You're the one that's there for me. I give you my hard-earned cash. You give me the product. You get nothing. Like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. You know what you get? Absolutely, positively nothing. You get a blank disc that isn't worth the actual plastic it's printed on with 85 megs of data to go ahead and download the game digitally in the first place. Here's my problem with all of this, right? Let's break this down, shall we? If you're not shipping me a product, if you're not printing the game, if the whole thing isn't on the disc and you're asking me to just go ahead and just download it directly, why are you charging me more money? If I'm getting less product, I'm not getting a manual, I'm not getting the full game, I'm not getting anything. Why do you want more money from me? Because you're not spending any extra money with shipping, logistics, marketing, putting everything out there and then putting it all together. No, what you're doing instead is you go on the YouTube channel, you put a trailer out, which costs you next to nothing to do in the first place. So there's your marketing done, number one. Everybody on Twitter starts talking about it. So what are you spending the money on, by the way? And then you want to go ahead and sell me a product that isn't even complete in the actual disc. It's simply a license to rent the game. It's shocking to me how people can just lose their minds about this and not realize what is actually happening when they champion bullshit that I consistently hear all the time. Support the developers, buy your game on day one, spend full price, when you're literally getting nothing every single time. But hey, you want to be the one being like, we'll buy Microsoft games, we'll show them, and you don't own shit. You're better off spending less money buying Game Pass and doing that, or giving them no money and just using actual Microsoft reward points to go ahead and get Game Pass that way. Because in reality, what you're spending on is literally air. It's evaporative. It's not real. And I've heard this before, okay? This isn't the first time this song and dance has come around my way. Everybody goes around and be like, well, Alex, you're on the PC, and there's no more physical on PC. So why are you crying about this? Oh, I love that argument. That's, tell me you don't know shit about PC gaming without telling me you don't know shit about PC gaming. Every time someone brings that up and they got a big brain on Brad moment, they think, I've got him. You know what we have on PC? Piracy. Yeah. That's not the answer you want to hear, is it? Oh, no. Steal? You're going to steal? Yeah. 100%. Yeah. You know why? Because they're stealing from you. If you're giving them all that money and getting nothing in return, why should you give them any money at all? Every single time I got to do this, right? I got to go out and I got to be like, look, I'm having a midlife crisis, and my midlife crisis isn't buying a sports car or a motorcycle. It's buying old PS1 and PS2 games. You see, the cool thing about these is I own these. I can do whatever I want with these. Sony and PlayStation are going to come to my house and take these away. They can't, you have a license for them. You don't own it. No, these are mine. You know what's also mine? When I take the ISO that I ripped from this and I put it on my PC, that's mine too. What's crazy about this hobby and this industry is I've never seen actual people inside of a hobby go around and shame other people for not wanting to spend more money, or literally turn around and shame other people for calling out companies trying to screw them. Just give Nintendo your money, bro. Hey, they deserve it, Dave. They earned it. These companies are literally relying on you to be a simp consistently 24/7, 365. Here's the deal about this entire thing, right? If buying isn't owning, then piracy isn't stealing. You see how that works? Because if the company is going to ask for all of my money for that product, then I should own that product. You know why? Because they own all of the money I gave them. I can't go back to the company and be like, hey, the license is over. Give me back the money. They're not going to give you back your money. They're going to keep it. So why on earth should you give them any money? They haven't earned it whatsoever. The actual deal is not complete. They're literally screwing you and you're accepting of it. That's the problem with this entire thing whatsoever. That's why I'm such a huge proponent for piracy and things like GOG. Even Valve and Steam, when you buy a game on Steam, it says, hey, you're not buying this game, you're buying a license for this game to be part of your account. But the beautiful part about PC gaming is I don't have to worry about that Valve. I can simply just download a crack to crack the copy of the game that I, in fact, actually legally bought. That's the difference. I legally bought the game. You cannot tell me what to do with the copy of the game I legally bought. They're ones and zeros. Oh, it's not real. Oh, it's a license. Well, I guess the money I gave you isn't real either now then, is it? I am honestly shocked that so many people still stick up for these companies and corpos every single time. And honestly, I'm glad I'm not the only one, because other people are starting to find this out too, and it really is the best thing ever. In fact, Does It Play on Twitter said this: won't lie, it is beyond sad to see one of the most legendary franchises in gaming history drop to these lows. No explanation for the empty disc, borderline false advertising in online stores, because there is no disclaimer present on the box art. Doom deserves better at Bethesda. And again, like I said, I'm not the only one, because Chris from Does It Play, in fact, said this as well. I often see people cite PC as a reason all digital works. PC digital works because DRM-free copies and multiple storefronts exist. Consoles only allow digital from one store with no competition. Physical is the only alternative method of buying games on console that we have. And Chris is absolutely 100% right. On the PC platform, I can choose to get a game on Good Old Games. I can choose to pirate your game. I can choose to get it on Steam or the Epic Game Store, or even, dare I say, the Xbox app. But the thing is, there's different places for PC gamers to go to actually get games. Hell, even itch.io is another example. But on the console space, you're stuck. You're restricted. There needs to be a new change in the space. If your console is practically a PC, which is exactly what consoles, in fact, nowadays truly are, it cut down x86 PC with its own proprietary OS and just basically hardware made by AMD. So congrats, my boys. Y'all got gimped. You're just a gimp PC gamer. Sorry to tell you that right now. All of the problems, zero of the benefits, and not a great solution whatsoever. It truly goes to show that there needs to be a new layer of actual consumer protections for DRM and digital media. Digital media should be treated just as powerful as it was back in the 90s and 2000s as physical media was. Because again, I can grab my old PS1 and PS2 games and I literally own those things. I should own the license to that product. I should have the ability to play that product on whatever device I choose to, because I literally own it. That game is mine. Those ones and zeros, that EXE is not yours. You literally took my money and you're not going to give it back to me when you remove the license from me. Therefore, the actual trade that happened between two parties is null and void. Microsoft should be doing far better than this right now. And personally, the fact that they're going to be doing this moving forward, and you can bet your bottom dollar it's going to happen with Gears Reloaded on PS5 and even on the Xbox as well. At the fact that they're going to be putting that game physically onto the PlayStation just goes to show it's probably going to be this exact same thing. A disc being the key card to download the actual game. So yeah, surprise. here's what's going to happen to you guys moving forward. People talk about supporting the devs and buying physical and all this stuff in preservation. You don't know shit about preservation. The actual way to preserve games nowadays is in fact through putting on that eye patch and getting yourself a pirated copy of that game, or going off and getting the game on GOG, because clearly nobody really has any ownership of what you buy anymore. And the fact that now even consoles from Nintendo are going to be going and getting bricked because you're going ahead and choosing to do what you want to do with the product that you purchased, that you now own, is also a problem too. And the worst part about that is this completely falls under right to repair. More cities and more states and more countries that are adopting right to repair is going to go ahead and go against what Nintendo is wanting to do with the Switch 2. Where if they say, we don't like the fact that you're trying to repair your Switch 2 because you did X, Y, and Z to it, we're going to brick it. That's a problem. Now they're going to control how you go ahead and maintain your products and keep things moving forward. Not only do they want to control where you get your games, how you get them, how you play them, they also want to control the hardware itself. So yeah, this is not a good look for the gaming industry. And like I said before, the more people try to kowtow to this and bow down to this, pretty much goes to show that you are in fact a simp of the highest order and magnitude. Stop for once caring about the fact that these companies are going around using your nostalgia to bait you into spending more money on their products when they don't deserve it. That is a massive issue and a major red flag. Any kind of person defending this is the same kind of person that goes around, buys everything physical, and is the exact same person that goes off and buys Funko Pops, telling themselves that maybe one day they'll be worth something, when we all know it's just a waste of plastic being melted out in the sun. So with all that being said, let me know what you guys think in the comments section down below. And if you want to finally be able to actually own your digital products, go ahead and use the link in the pinned comment down below to get yourself a StarForge PC. Trust me, they're the best PCs in the universe. If you want to see more of this kind of content, more PC port reviews, gaming news, Steam Deck videos, fanboy content, gaming hot takes, and gaming news, subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 83,000 subscribers, and I just want to say thank you guys so very much. If you want Discord access and emotes during live streams, become a YouTube member. It's as low as $1. If you don't want to spend the buck, don't sweat it. Come on down Saturday nights, 8:45 p.m. Eastern. Trust me, it's a hell of a show. I guarantee it. With all that being said, though, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great one. And oh, by the way, Doom the Dark Ages PC port review is out now. Go watch it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace!